come to save the day.
So Martin, I wanted to know what style you were going for with the Green Lantern, if anything was pressured by The Dark Knight and its realism.
No, we're not a dark film. We're not like The Dark Knight in the sense that, in the sense we're not a dark story. You know, we're kind of the opposite in a way. You know, we're a story about a young guy who's very cocky, shoots from the hip, totally irresponsible, the last person that should ever be a Green Lantern, who of course is chosen to become one. And really it's a story about him and the arc of his character. So by the end of the movie, of course, he becomes a Green Lantern, fully fledged. And ultimately, that's what the story is about.
Okay, and how about the visuals? Were you going with something that looks more like, you know, 5 steps from a drama, or did you just really want it to look like this is from a comic book?
No, I don't want it. I just want all the characters to be real, to be, you know, to be proper characters, not to be two-dimensional characters, which I think is a big mistake. And certainly with our cast, with Blake Lively and Ryan, and the rest of the cast, Peter Sarsgaard and Mark, excuse me, Mark Strong as Sinestro. They're all terrific, but it keeps its feet well and truly placed on the ground as far as the characters are concerned.
Can you talk a little bit about your decision to use CG with the costume, especially in the wake of, you know, people weren't really feeling the way that the costume looked on the cover of EW this week?
Well, the costume, of course, is a work in progress, but and it will look fantastic. The thing is that the costume is not a costume. It's something like a skin. It's the ring is what makes the costume, or you know, induces the costume. So during the induction process, when Hal first goes to Oa, the costume comes out from within his body, so it becomes a skin. And all the lines on the costume, of course, follow, as you know. Every Green Lantern has a different suit, basically. I mean, they all have suits, whatever their physiology, so it adapts to that physiology. And all the lines on the suit are all to do with the musculature in his body. So they're all, if you look at a physiology drawing of the muscle formations, you'll see they follow exactly what's on the suit.
Okay, so what we've seen on the cover of EW is not necessarily the finished product that we're going to get in the theater.
No, absolutely not. You can never get that sort of, you know, we've only, to be honest, just the mask, for example, you know, still has a long way to go, and we're so early. We're a year from being released, so all of that's a work in progress.
So I want you to talk a little bit about the character that you're playing in this film.
He is a scientist. He's a biologist, particularly interested in they call extremophiles, you know, animals that live in extreme places on the earth. Very cold places, the Marina Gulch in the ocean, you know, they show like those fish that look like see-through skeletons and things. And he studies those mostly as a full-time hobby, but he's a teacher of biology as well, and he ends up getting picked to examine the body of an alien that lands on Earth.
What made you decide to do a comic book movie as your next project?
You know, for me, it's just whatever shows up that looks the most interesting. There's no grand plan.
So what is it about this project that just, you know, stuck out to you?
Well, you know, I like the idea that I would be playing a character that was as complex as he is in it, because he, you know, he certainly ends up doing bad things. But he has an origin story in it, so, you know, I like that you got to see him start off as a person like all of we are and become this other thing. I thought that's pretty rare in a comic book movie, that type of character gets to have that journey.
I don't know how much you could speak about this. Is there any potential for us to see you further down the line if Green Lantern were to continue?
I don't know.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, if it were to continue? Well, hell yeah, I would be in it. Yeah, I'd be psyched. I don't think we know what we're doing yet.
So, Don, can you tell us about what went into producing Green Lantern?
Well, it was a very complicated, the most complicated movie I've ever produced, and I've learned a great deal. We're still in the middle of production, so I'm learning every day, actually. But the thing that makes Green Lantern different than all the other superhero movies is that we start on Earth, and then we go to outer space. So we go to the middle of the universe to a planet called Oa, and there are 3,600 species of Green Lanterns. So we have a whole world we had to create. We have alien life, so we had to design characters. We had to design suits that go on each character, and it was incredibly complicated and very fascinating. And we worked with a lot of animators and artists and CG people, because obviously that world, when we go to space, had to be created.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that mostly CGI with voice actors, or do we have like anybody with prosthetics on there?
We have a combination of both, actually. For instance, Mark Strong, who plays Sinestro, I don't know if you've met Mark. He's one of the most famous of all Green Lanterns, and he has, his suit is CG, but it's Mark Strong's face and it's him acting. Kilowog and Toma Ray, who are two also very famous Green Lanterns, they're alien creatures, so a human being couldn't play them. Toma Ray is kind of a fish bird man, so he would be fully animated, and then we'll cast an actor to do his voice.
Were there any concerns about making the film too much one way, as far as like too animated or too, effects driven?
Yeah, I mean, I think our thing is Green Lantern is very much rooted in the real world. Hal Jordan is the first human being ever chosen to be a Green Lantern. And we really want to keep that tone of like reality, and this could happen to you, because he's chosen. He gets taken into space to this planet. He's the first human being who's ever been chosen. So we wanted to kind of be through his eyes. This could happen to you. He has no special powers. It's only the ring that's given to him. It's all up to his own will and imagination. So it's everything that people can relate to, saying, what do I have inside of me? And if I was really given that challenge, could I rise to the occasion and be a hero?
Is that what drove the idea to use Green Lantern as the next DC Comics hero to get his own film? Because he's not necessarily somebody that you would imagine would make the jump easily.
Right. I don't know. It's interesting. I just was interested in the material and started talking to writers and met Greg Berlanti. Well, I didn't meet Greg. Greg's a dear old friend of mine. We were on vacation in Mexico, and we started talking about what we were each doing in the business, and it turned out he was a lifelong fan of Green Lantern. I had just discovered it and fallen in love with it, and that was born the seed of, okay, let's figure out a way to make a great story and present it to the studio as a movie, which is what we did with DC Comics.
Can you talk about any potential for sequels or Green Lantern in other films, crossovers?
I don't know about the crossovers. I'm sure DC will bring their characters together eventually, but we certainly have another story in the works already for a sequel to Green Lantern. Greg actually had laid it out as a potential for a trilogy. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Me being from San Diego, or you?
We're from San Diego.
Okay, good. Now that we're clear, it's pretty. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, to have this city host something that, a convention like this that is so accepting of so many different tastes and interests. I mean, you walk down the street here, and I mean, this is the most entertaining 12 minutes of my life was driving from the hotel over to this building right now. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and the fact that that's all so wholly accepted around here that's awesome. I mean, you can't deny it.
They're so passionate, and they're really passionate about the Green Lantern, and they're excited to see, you're still in the process of filming it.
Yeah.
So what is a nugget that you can kind of give fans?
Oh, wow. Well, I could say this. They're going to see more than just one or two or three Green Lanterns in the film. They're going to see quite a few, which is something that I'm really happy that they're going through with and doing. But we're still shooting. We still have 3 or 4 weeks left to go. So.
Did you have any concerns about going to play Green Lantern, especially after already playing Deadpool in the Wolverine movie?
Yeah, a little bit. At first, to be honest, yeah, I did. When I met with Martin Campbell the first time, I really didn't have that much interest in doing the Green Lantern movie, specifically because I didn't know that much about it. And as I learned more and more about it, I really saw the appeal. I mean, there's something to playing this guy who's he's a classic hero. I mean, he's a character that is this Han Solo, Chuck Yeager type, and who wouldn't want to play that? But then seeing their art department, I'm telling you, if you could ever go through an art department of any movie, this one is the one to see. I mean, we have all the Lord of the Rings people in there, and they're creating this world, and that's what sold me. I mean, just seeing the planet Oa for the first time and what it would look like on screen was breathtaking. I mean, I was begging to do the movie after that. Yeah, cool.
I didn't know anything about Green Lantern before this, but when I found out I got the part, everybody on my other set I was working on freaked out. All the older guys were like, oh my gosh, I love Green Lantern. You're going to be Carol Ferris. You have to make your hair brown. They were so enthusiastic. And then I went and talked to my nephews about it, and they said, oh, cool, superhero, what's that? And they didn't know about the Green Lantern. So that's what's so cool about this movie, to get to introduce it to a young generation. They already bought their DVDs, my nephews, they came on set, they put on the ring. It was a really fun discovery.
Does Hal take you flying?
Your favorite days of shooting so far? I don't know. Every day has been so much. When we got to pilot the planes, that was a pretty cool thing. I felt like Top Gun.
Do you go flying when you're wearing armor?
See, that's what's unique about this movie. How does it take me flying? I take me flying.
Hi, Blake.
Hi.
Are you ready to become like a geek love icon right now, being a Green Lantern?
One of the first things I thought of when I got this movie is I thought I have to really know everything about Green Lantern so that I don't disappoint anyone at Comic-Con. So I hope to make everyone proud today.
Well, I think they're going to be very impressed.
Thank you.